In this episode,
FPL _ footballer.
The Fantasy Football Show.
hello listeners and welcome to episode 14 of the Planet FPL 30 in 30. My name's Serge.
My name is James.
And James, tell us, who do we have with us for the 14th episode?
We've got the man waiting for a shake to come over and take over his football
Waiting
club.
for a milkshake.
By and back Sergio Ramos and everybody else. We've got FPL _ footballer Sai, our Newcastle correspondent. Hello, Sai. How are you?
I'm very well, guys. As you say, just waiting for all that oil money to roll in.
I feel like this is the most irrelevant podcast of the 30 and 30 because obviously we don't have the fixtures, we don't have the prices of any of the players, and you're about to become the richest club in the world. But
Well,
close,
I-
up
the way I
there
see
with
it
the
is-
cities and the PSGs of the world.
Well, there's two scenarios, right? You've got the doomsday scenario, which is no money, Rafa leaves, we get one of our ex-managers back, or
Kevin Keegan.
we're back in the big time. And to be honest, I spent an hour having a look and trying to find if there's any new information out, but it's the same old shit that's been reported for last week. No one knows what's happening.
It's like a time bomb where they've kind of started the month and felt like, and we've mentioned it on nearly all the pods, Newcastle any time now, it could be that money's there. And yet, the closer it gets to the end of the month, it's that massive fear. It gets to the end of the month, there's no new investment, it gets called off, Benitez contracts run out, and then where are they?
Sure. The most recent thing that I saw that was convincing was it Magpie Holdings Limited or Magpie Acquisitions Limited that had been set up, a limited company had been set up where
Monochrome.
Monochrome, that's it. And the Sheikh was the director of the company. I don't know how legit that is and if that's all happening.
I mean, it's legit, but we've been in this position before. It's not the first time that someone's had to set up a company. It's just due diligence. I don't want to get into the finite details of buying a football club, but it's just mad. Like yesterday, I don't know if you saw the news, like Rafa turned up to the training ground.
Yeah, I saw that.
Everyone just went into absolute delirium. Does it mean that he's going to pack up all of his shit and leave? Is he going in to sign a new contract? Like, no one knows. And it's just, it's quite difficult for me as well because I actually have a working relationship with the club and some other clubs as well. So I personally know the people that work there, and they're in a really difficult situation. They can't say anything, obviously, because it's not confirmed. It's not their position to say stuff. So I don't know. You get to a point where you just start tuning this stuff out and just want the FPL season to start, so I can start focusing on the football teams for a bit.
Imagine what you do in the summer, a lot of football fans will do, is you're watching daily for transfer news and rumours. Imagine it for them.
Yeah.
They're like, we're either buying no one and fucked.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, I think if this doesn't happen and then you're not in a position to have Benitez, suddenly we're having a different conversation. We're talking about Newcastle fighting relegation.
We become, like, no disrespect, the Huddersfield of last season, where every team will be looking for our fixtures and will want to play us every week. And that's basically what I'll probably write a season's worth of content about.
I don't know if that's... I mean, you say that, but without Benitez, I would agree with you. If Benitez stays, you did have a averagely good defensive record. You went on a nice run of home wins as well. Like, you were never the easiest side to just roll over, and that's not going to disappear.
So this is
that wouldn't
doomsday
disappear.
scenario if Benitez leaves. If Benitez stays, we'll have the same season that we've had for the last 2 years.
Absolutely agree. Even without the investment, if Benitez stays, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely crucial.
Which in itself is, has its advantages from an FPL point of view, because you can start to predict when we'll pick up points and go on those runs and all of that stuff that we've done for the last 2 years. So, anyone listening in trying to get some advice on buying Newcastle players, just forget it.
I don't believe you, mate. Right, I'm going to throw you Matt Ritchie. Come on, we mentioned it at the live show.
Can we? I just wanted to chuck it out there before we get into the players, though. If I had a couple $100 million in the bank, or however much money you need to buy a football club, of all the clubs in the country outside the top six, and obviously the emotional attachment of buying your own football club, Newcastle is the one that I think
I'm not against.
I would want to buy because of the loyalty of the fan base, the commercial opportunity with a club like that is just massive, and it's the one that one club, City, big stadium. you could double that size of the stadium and still fill it week in, week out. And so I don't think I have not many people have any bad ill feeling towards a club like Newcastle. You feel for the fans for what they've been for over the last 15, 20 years. And yeah.
And try 50 years.
And,
do you know, I was
going to say and longer.
It's 50 years to today that we won the Fairs Cup.
Sure. Really?
Years,
yeah, but I feel with Cole
there.
And Beardsley and stuff, you had a bit of a mini renaissance for a short period of time. So you can't turn that away. That was a good season.
It's interesting. We'll come back onto the likes of Matt Ritchie. But it's interesting Suj mentions that team because that's the team that is why you support Newcastle, essentially, right?
Yeah. It's interesting, actually, because I thought I was the only person not born in Newcastle or have any family connections that supported Newcastle. Even from going to like quite a lot of games, which I used to do, until I started to boycott the whole Mike Ashley era. I just literally stopped going to games, stopped buying stuff. I found a few people in the FPL community actually that are quite similar to me that just fell in love with that Newcastle team of the mid to late 90s. Like Neil Murray, who I met at the live show a couple of weeks ago. Turns out he's also, I don't know if you call him a Cockney Geordie, but he's definitely not from Newcastle. And like FPL Connect, I know he's a big sort of guy in the FPL community. He's also, I don't think, from Newcastle. So it's quite interesting to see that I wasn't the only one that just decided to
do it. I've got a couple of mates. A good mate of mine,
by supporting this team.
A good mate of mine who our kids are friends. He's from Leicester. He's born and bred Leicester, but he's a Geordie fan. One of the parents from school, another Geordie. And also I think it goes down a couple of generations.
He's a big Newcastle fan.
Oh really? I think that the followership. The more I think about it, I even know a few guys that work at one of my mates' companies who are like in their mid-20s. Who have no association with Newcastle, born and bred North London, are Geordies as well. So it's interesting, actually. I think you're right that there is a massive outside of Newcastle following for the Geordies as well.
A lot of people did cling on to that team, didn't they?
Yeah.
I mean, it's true to say, I think for most football fans, other than probably United fans, because they were obviously involved in it at the time, Man United days, obviously, that Newcastle did feel like a second. Everyone wanted them to win it, except for obviously your Sunderlands and the like.
I think that the way you won games particularly helped, because week in, week out, you want to watch your team win. And then second in that, if they're going to win 4-3 every week or 5-4, that's also quite a lot of fun along the way. I would happily concede 3 or 4 goals every week if I knew we were going to score 4 or 5.
I just started following all of their results, started listening to all the matches, watching all their games. Before I knew it, I was going to a few games. I was buying the kits.
David Ginola on your wall, kind of like flicking David Ginola posters.
That title race in '96 was more exciting than the one that's just gone.
Yeah.
For you, maybe.
You were involved as well, mate.
Yeah.
But the way it all unfolded was so much drama from week to week. They seemed like they'd be out of it, and then United would have a bad result, and they'd be back in it, and then they'd blow it again. I'd watched.
And there was quite a bit of animosity as well, and I think that helped the whole situation. Like Liverpool and City this year, they're pretty nicey.
Are you joking? City and Liverpool hate each other now, mate. Well, they do online anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. If you look at the managers and stuff, you wouldn't see Pep like doing a Keegan on Klopp, would you?
Keegan just lost his mind that night, didn't he?
But I think there was more animosity then. You don't agree?
Nah. I don't.
I think every different era you get those different rivalries. I know you were talking to Adam the other day about the Arsenal Man U rivalry, and it just happens. Ours was pretty short lived. I mean, we did spank them 5-0, which a lot of Newcastle fans still talk about. Yeah, so that was good. We'll always say that.
The performance that day was incredible. Was watching. I mean, it's the Liverpool game's the one everyone harps on back. It's the best game of football I've ever seen. But if you watch it back now, the quality of the football is not that great in terms of the style of the two teams in terms of ball retention, but for excitement, fucking hell, that game will take some doing to top Premier League drama for over 90 minutes.
Yep, can disagree with you. Let's get back to some of the
players.
On
to defensive Benitez.
Matthew Ritchie.
I do want to talk about Matt Ritchie because I know you want to talk about Matt Ritchie a bit, assuming you don't get the money. This is confusing.
Well, Matt Ritchie and Fabian Schär. So I've just seen he was named in the, I don't know if this actually means anything, but the Euro Nations team of the tournament.
Were there any England players in that?
I don't know, mate. I'm just looking at the Newcastle website. Probably not. But, I mean, he did outperform Van Dijk, apparently. So there you go. That's my pick for next season. But in all seriousness, he scored 4 goals last year, got 1 assist. He started at 5 million, dropped to 4.5. I know I've talked about it previously, but yeah, he's going to be 4.5 million, right, at the start of next season. So he's a shoo-in for my team.
I would have thought so. The only thing is, we mentioned this on some of the data we did with like FPL Canal. His points per match second half of the season, he was one of the top, wasn't he, in terms of points per million. It was a really good value pick, Shah. But it's interesting because he posted them good numbers, but on the flip side of that, there's 12 yellow cards in now.
Yeah, he was a bit of a bad boy, wasn't he?
So you're going to have some ones and zeros of pain possibly to go with them, maybe.
Yeah, but it goes back to what I was saying about Newcastle. If Benitez is our manager next season, we'll be just consistent. We'll consistently lose the games that you think we're going to lose, apart from when Man City roll up to St James's Park, give them a beating. But everyone else, you kind of knew who we're going to lose to, who we're going to beat, and who we're going to keep clean sheets against. That's why I think we're quite an interesting team from an FPL point of view if we keep Benitez, because he's so consistent and steady.
Do you think was there any correlation with your clean sheets and Lascelles playing last season, or Lascelles and Shah as a partnership, or anything along those lines, or is it was more against the opposition?
We moved to back 3 or back 5, if you want to call it that. I know James is dying to talk about Richie, so him moving from right wing, where he's just got no pace and couldn't beat a man and couldn't put a ball in, to playing left back because he's naturally left footed.
Yeah.
And playing left wing back, which gave him that kind of freedom and that space, which makes him, I think, an interesting option next year if we keep Benitez and if we play the same system. Because I don't see us if we haven't got that much money to spend buying a left back.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I mean, you kind of nailed it there. If he's going to be classified as defender, you think he will be, don't you, sir?
Yeah, I do. The amount of games he played, and also you look at the Newcastle squad and like how it was priced last year. So we finished the previous season 10th, whereas last year we actually got more points but finished 3 places below. We finished 13th. So you think that's generally how like FPL looks at it, right? They look at where they finished in the league, they look at ownership, they look at overall points. So consistently, no Newcastle player rose in price at the end of the season compared to the start of the season. Shah actually dropped the most, like 500,000, out of all the players. So you got to think that actually, because of that low ownership, that low interest, and that low ceiling or perceived ceiling of points, that they will price them quite kindly next year, I think.
I think so. I'm not convinced Richie will be reclassified. I think that's the main thing. I'm not sure. Was it 8 assists, Richie? I think it was joint most with Rondon. I think
it was 10 attacking returns, something like that. So between goals and assists, not bad. Also likes a yellow card as well.
Yeah, well, you got a few of your boys who'll take a hit, mate. They're not shy with that, which is unusual for Newcastle teams. For a long time were perceived as quite soft. You wouldn't perceive this one as soft in anywhere at all. I think you're right what you said about the change of formation. Has brought a real stability to that back line, even when he's had to change the odd two, be it sort of Leon or Dummett. But it's been a lot more consistent with Richie on the left. And then is Yedlin in favour now on the right over Manquillo?
I'd still put him first choice, but Manquillo started to play quite well towards the end of the season, and I think Benitez made a comment about Yedlin's performances dropping off in training, and he had a couple of errors, gave away a penalty, just sort of dropped out the team towards the end of the season. I still think Yedlin's first choice, though. He's
a great one, Yedlin, for the Crapid team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Crapid. We should. I need to trademark that phrase. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to trademark.
Tom
Crapid.
Campbell said it was yours, so that's fine.
That's fine. If Mayor Tom says it, then it's all mine.
You've got it.
Yeah, there are interesting options. I think Epiosde Perez is probably up there in my biggest. I wish I'd owned him for some of last season. Every year, to be fair, yeah, but last season especially in terms of value for money. If you look back and said, which player should you have jumped on the bandwagon and didn't, because he then went on a more consistent run than he has in the past, it is Perez. Now, Rondon, we don't know if he's...
a bandwagon, let's be honest.
Well,
I think it was only people in the FPL community that, like, a few people that were talking about him and saying, like, he's done it for the last 2 years. He goes on these stupid runs for the last 15 games of the season where he'll score 7 or 8.
Well,
I just don't know if he's going to be back next year.
we don't know what the status of Rondon is, and it's probably not likely that he'll come to Newcastle. But so Perez, he's likely to get the minutes next season unless you re-sign Andy Carroll, which I really think you should do. Perez might be a really interesting option next season.
Wanting to go back to Spain or try something new. So be interesting to see what happens there.
I'm sure he could be his head could be turned with a few million quid coming his way.
You got any news on Rondon? Or does it just depend on the money at this stage?
They've apparently extended the window that they're going to listen or wait for Newcastle to come back. So I think Rondon does want to sign. It's his age, it's his wage structure and everything else just doesn't currently fit with what Ashley wants. So I think if Ashley's still in charge, we won't sign Rondon.
But then if the money comes, do you look for something better?
Yeah, interesting. I think if Benitez is still in charge, because there is talk of Mourinho as well coming in, which is just a bit madness to me.
Shut up. Where's that bollocks come from? Is that right?
Yeah, I know. Well, it's like the new owners come in, they want their own guy in charge and stuff. That's the thing. You get to this stage of listening to so many rumours that you just shut it out. I honestly haven't listened to it or looked at anything for 3 days because it's just it's got too much. And then I looked online and
Mourinho and
some
Newcastle
ridiculous
doesn't
shit
fit.
that's come out.
I can't see that.
No, Mourinho Newcastle doesn't,
money.
but Mourinho and money does fit.
I think genuinely, I think at one point Mbappe Newcastle was trending on Twitter.
Yes, it was.
It was something about we just got rid of Diarme. We had this obviously a number 10 spot in our squad. It's what? I don't know. I can't listen to it until something concrete happens. You have to have me back on soon then.
Yeah.
The midfield area is quite interesting because Diarme performed a lot better last season, and Shelvey was sort of in and out the team, and then Longstaff broke through and was doing really well till he had the injury. He's out for quite a while. Is that right?
He's back in light training.
Oh, is he already?
He's got a shot. He's got a shot at making the start of the season. It was a knee injury, but not too serious.
Plus, obviously, Almiron coming in the transfer window as well. He started brightly, but didn't really kick on. He didn't get the FPL returns that you'd want from a player like him if you're going to put money into him.
Yeah, do you know what? I think it was it the Burnley game away, or was it Leicester? It was Leicester where the game he got injured, and I was chatting to a couple of the other Newcastle fans that are on Twitter, and that was the game. He started brightly, and he looked like this is the game where something's going to happen for him, and then he just pulled his hammy. And that was it. His season was over. Such a shame. But I think, again, he didn't have that much experience in the Premier League last year of us. But I think this year, second half of the season, he could come on quite strong.
He was also priced reasonably cheap, right? If I remember correctly, did he come in at 6?
Yeah, I think
6
so.
million.
It goes back to what Si said about the status. I described Almiron, didn't I, as someone who every time he gets the ball, you feel like he's going to do something, but also you feel like he won't do anything in the same moment. And his performances were a little...
That is a classic Newcastle player.
You can see he's got the ability and he's lively enough. I just don't know if that will go into numbers.
He just rushes it a bit too much, but that will come. He just needs to get a bit stronger and have some players that play at the same pace as him. Like him and Perez together were pretty good.
Yeah, again, those two getting close to Rondon, the whole formation just was so much more in sync for Newcastle second half of the season. Yeah. I mean, you look at the performance without Almiron against Liverpool, they give them a fright.
Yeah.
But for Newcastle to achieve 13th again, you need Benitez and that spine, or really when you break the squad down as a whole, it lacks quality, I think.
Yeah, it's fair. Lack of depth. Apart from Longstaff, we haven't had a player come through since Dummett. That's saying something. So, but yeah, I think Longstaff has got the potential. Definitely got the potential.
Yeah, we like what
quite
we've seen
similar
of
to
him.
Winks, not physically, but in terms of he can pick the ball up, never under too much pressure. Always looks like he's got an extra second. Can play a short pass, long pass. Physically, he's tall. So he's got that kind of
that's really
stature
important
about
in
him.
that area for those two. Yeah. Because a little bit like with Wolves, where Nuno was playing a similar system, and Bradley spoke about how sort of Matinho and Neves were getting overrun. You need a worker, but you need a footballer in there in that formation. Otherwise, you will get outnumbered. Yeah. So it
I was really hoping that him and Shelvey might get a run together in the team. So I was quite interested to see how them potentially in a 3 in midfield, like we don't tend to play that, would work out. Because like our possession last season was something like 28%. It was one of the lowest in the league, but that was intentional. But we still had a higher percentage of like shot creation and chance creation than a lot of other teams. We just knew what to do with the ball when we got it, and we were quite comfortable. I think that's like one of Benitez's biggest strengths, is he can drill a team into being confident enough that they don't need the ball and don't panic. So that's why I think we were able to play quite well against like Liverpool, take some points off City.
Has he done better than you expected, Benitez?
Well, I mean, it's hard to judge Benitez on results. You think about it, like we got relegated and he stayed with us. Like, and this is a guy that's like won everything, everything. And for him to stay with our club, because he understood the club, understood the fans, could see the potential, still can see the potential. I just don't know whether he's reached the point where it's just never going to happen. So I think for him, that's why he's always been quite a political manager, so he knows how to play the scenario and play the owner against people. So I honestly couldn't tell you which way it's going to go this season, but I
think he likes it up there though. I mean, from his Liverpool era, he kind of fell in. And love's probably not the right word, but he was still based around that area for a long time, wasn't he? Even after when he left Liverpool, I think.
His kids still go to school in Liverpool area, so I think he'd want to stay in England.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, in terms of worry to say it doesn't work out for him at Newcastle, he's not going to get another job in the Northwest that's bigger, is he? Or Northwest or Northeast and North of England? No. Unless maybe, I don't know, if a Leeds came up and put pressure on in a year's time, but can't see it. That's a massive job. Would he ever go to Everton? I don't know. That's the problem with Newcastle. You're always questioning what can go wrong, I think. Yeah, it's a car crash waiting to happen. Something that's going to come off the rails somehow. But I'm crossing my fingers. I'm crossing my fingers for the Sheikh to come in. I love it. And I genuinely love it. To kind of put another contender up there. Sadly, money doesn't always talk. You look at Everton. They've spent a crap load of money. On shit. Yeah, they were starting to come good at the back end of last season. They got a decent... I like Marco Silva, so I think we might see better things from Everton. But it does go to show, dropping 200 million net isn't going to get you into the top 6. It needs to be
but it's not
200
even,
million
it's not
a
even
summer.
just the transfer money. You look at like Man City, it's the club infrastructure. It's what we do in the community. It's everything. It's everything, and that's what we would want. You'd hope him coming from the same background as the Man City owners, that they would appreciate that. You don't know. You just don't know who this guy is. Have you got any concerns about the ethics of it? We kind of spoke with Johnny Pringle, our City correspondent, about that. And is there anything in the back of your mind that worries you about that? No, again, it's a weird one because like I have like Arabic family. So my dad's Lebanese, so a lot of the stuff that you hear about like families and things that go on in the Middle East is quite hard for people, I think, in this country to get their head around. There's obviously like stuff that's been reported that is just not acceptable, and you'd think that people shouldn't be able to just, with that kind of access to wealth, power and whatever, be able to go into a football club and buy a football club and pass the right and fit and proper owner tests and stuff. I don't know, and I don't know what's true or not. Again, it's more speculation. Agreed. Yeah, it's tricky. You don't know where to draw the line at that point. What's more of a concern for me is when you start getting owners who own multiple clubs in different countries, etc. So you end up with groups, right? Loaning from club A to club B, etc., etc. You end up with like mini groups of football clubs, and I think that gives some clubs an unfair advantage sometimes because they can loan players. Watford have had that with the Pozzo family, haven't they? Yeah, of course, and so that's been going on for quite a while. You don't know what's happening at Wolves in terms of what's a super agent who's helping them out. I forget his name's right on the tip of my tongue because we were talking about him a few days ago. He's dodgy, Jorge Mendes. That's your guy. But he's associated with a number of other clubs. I don't know if we'd have the same issue at Newcastle in this like supposed Sheikh derby. I don't know if you heard that apparently the grandfather of the guy that's trying to buy Newcastle killed the grandfather of the guy that owns Man City in some tribal warlord feud about 100 years ago or something. So yeah, I don't think they'll be swapping players over. No, but it will be interesting to see, I think.
what happens moving forward.
We can only really judge Newcastle on what it is at the moment, unfortunately, as well as you can have the fantasies about what it might be. We don't know, right? It might come in and might not spend money for 3-4 years.
Yeah.
So, opening day of the season, Spurs at home, obviously, because it always is Spurs at home for you guys. Fixture list looks decent, let's say hypothetically. With the current squad, you've mentioned sort of Richie, Shah. Is that where you'd look for FPL, obviously?
Yeah, I think defensively, definitely. And again, it just comes down to the fixtures. The last 2 years, we've had a shocking start to the season, fixture-wise, for the last 2 seasons, which has meant that no one's touched a Newcastle player until like the turn of the year. And it's all been about the second half of the season and picking up a few bargains. And by that point, you've got so much money in the bank that you're focused on bigger things. So I think if we've got a decent set of fixtures coming up by a couple players, Benitez stays, everything's quite settled, then I think we're an option. If we sell the club, we've bought 7 players, 5 of which no one's like ever heard of, apart from Mbappe. Then he might be the go-to option.
What about the keeper?
Honestly, I can't tell you.
Dubravka. I owned Dubravka at the end of the 17-18 season, after you got him in the transfer window, right? And he was on loan before you made him permanent. And he got some decent returns, but unfortunately he went up from 4.5 to 5 million last season. And that was the problem with Dubravka. It wasn't that he wasn't a good option. It was just
right.
5 million's that no man's land for goalkeepers. You either go in 4.5 or you want a premium at 5.5 or 6.
But then I heard wasn't Pickford the best value goalkeeper, or one of the best value goalkeepers? But I think
he didn't do badly.
Yeah, he was. Him and Etheridge proved to be the 2 best value. Sudge is running away from the mic because he's running out of battery. Just so you know, Si.
Oh, fair enough.
We'll keep talking. Sudge has realised that the laptop's running out of fucking battery, and he is panicking, mate. I don't see where.
I actually.
Go on. Sorry.
What were you gonna say? Sorry, mate. I was just gonna say, if we're not recording, I can have a bit of a vape break then, can't I? Is my throat sound really raspy?
I know, we're still recording, mate. I mean, if you want to vape in your own home, you can vape in your own home, mate. It's absolutely fine.
I massively got caught out in that rain shit show yesterday. So I'm like, on top of staying up till 6 in the morning watching basketball, I was also been quite ill today. So it's all going well.
Bless, mate. We know you're on lack of sleep. Before you go, we normally do this at the start, and I don't know why we didn't. How was your FPL season?
I was hoping I wouldn't have to talk about it.
Why don't you talk about the previous season, Si?
All right. Okay. So the reason I know I had a bit of a shit season, and okay, let me start again. I launched 2 teams this year based off the back of me finishing 2K last season, and purely like ego driven. I thought I can have one team that I can like have a bit of fun with, enter my work league, and then I'll have my other team where I'll probably finish in like the top 5, top 10K. Didn't really ever think realistically that I put enough time into FPL to win it. And then what happened was my team that I didn't like spend any time on at all, no transfer plans, just kind of went with gut feels, started to do really well. And the team that I spent the last 10 years building up some sort of credibility with was just having a bit of a shocker. So I was about 500,000, I think, in rank about January, February time, and then decided to switch it up. Played a different strategy where I, instead of having 2 completely separate teams, so like Jimenez, for example, I just didn't put him in my proper FPL team because I had him in my other team. It was just fucking dumb. And I ended up basically getting to a point where both of my teams were pretty similar, and it meant my main team finished, I think, 182k, and my second team finished on 70k. Well, I was about 20k. So basically, my team I didn't care about did quite shit because I was like turning it into my other team and vice versa. It just basically landed somewhere in the middle. So not a great season, but I mean that's my worst ever finish, and I've been playing this game for like 11 years. So you know, I'll come back next year. Yeah. Your overall record's pretty fucking scary, actually. How many top? You know what? I didn't even realise. I looked at it earlier, and first season I played it, I don't know how many people were playing in 2008, but I finished 10,000. I don't know if there was like 10,500 people playing it 11 years ago. But
did you just interestingly, did you change strategy at all last year from the start? Because you wrote a fucking phenomenal article pre-season, just the 16 pages, I might add.
3 games in.
Unbelievable in terms of team value and structure.
I remember getting that article thinking, what
am I going to do with that? Yeah, no, it was a phenomenal piece. I could retweet that now and it would get loads more likes than it got then. It was brilliant. Do you know what? I I fucking dig it out,
in the thread when we tweet the podcast.
Yeah, I'm going to do that actually.
There we go.
I'm definitely something I'm interested in having a look back at this season's data, because I used our resident stato, like his different kind of model on like how values apply to pricing, and basically just for anyone that hasn't seen it, it's about how you pick players based on price blocks. So you come up with a structure for your squad based on where the kind of key value points are, and like no one saw like Liverpool's defence like offering the value that they did this season. So it'll be interesting to see if that changes, because I think I came out with a formula where the ideal formation had like 2 6.0 defenders, 1 5.5, and such forth. Like this season, based on like what Liverpool are going to cost, it might be completely different.
Am I right, looking back to that article, that one of the things that really hampered your plan was it was quite centred around one player, and you didn't give away who that one player was, but I'm pretty sure it was Kevin De Bruyne.
Fuck, I'll have to go back and have a look. It was 2 players. I don't know, maybe it's 3 players. One of them, it was definitely, I went Kevin De Bruyne at the start of the season over Sterling, because of the price difference. I think everyone was just put off Sterling, thought he was too much money, which is kind of ridiculous now when you think about it. I went Salah at the start of the season, so that was another player I think that price-wise just meant I was kind of always trying to fit in pieces around him. And I think I ended up going a bit cheaper at the back than I wanted to, and did like the classic thing of getting a Liverpool goalkeeper. So I got him in and then sold him on my first wild card, like a lot of people did. I just made like so many stupid mistakes this season that
you weren't alone, mate.
Looking forward next year, yeah. Like I got to a point in the middle of the season where I think I was just either a bit bored or just thought I'm not doing that well, and I just like spanked so many transfers. Just out of nowhere, I went and had a look back, and I was doing like minus
proper
8s,
rage,
minus 12s. Yeah, I don't know. It was just all got a bit silly. But I found this season quite hard to predict.
You and the rest
player
of us.
Price rises.
It was a tough one. We spoke to who was it? We spoke to earlier, Neil, our Bournemouth correspondent, and he said this season just gone, he scored more points than he ever had in any FPL season, and finished lower than he had ever in FPL season. I'm right in translating that, right? So highest points total, lowest rank.
Yeah.
Which is incredible.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah,
the difference between my two teams was 70 points. And that was 110,000 places, 70 points.
Yeah, I was very similar to my 20k rank a couple of years ago, and like 140,000 worse.
Yeah.
So
there we go.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do in terms of the early. Everybody was hitting captains in the first half of the season.
Yeah.
Keep hearing people saying, "Oh, I hit 15 out of the first 19 captains." Most people did. Actually.
Yeah.
Oh, I made some fucking stupid captains.
Except for Sai, obviously.
List all the stupid ones from this season, and I was right in there. Like,
did you triple captain Leroy Sané?
All of that. No, I didn't do that.
Okay. So you're not that bad.
I did have him though. I did have him for a while. He's just one of those players that I think he's quality.
He is a great player.
When you know they're like on TV that weekend, you're like, I've got like 7.5, 8 million. You think, who am I going to buy? You're going to buy Leroy Sané, aren't you? Rather than Matt Ritchie.
That's true.
He's another fascinating one, Sané.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
So, listen, I know obviously you were up into the early hours with watching the NBA and that kind of thing. So we're gonna let you go, but we need to do this again when we know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
So please, and I can actually do some prep for it as well.
Yeah, come once the prices are out and the fixtures are out, and we'll have some kind of clarity on Benitez and the ownership. We 100% we need to talk again.
Organise something YouTube special with Sai in about 6 weeks or so.
Yeah.
Get it booked in now, and he'll come back on and he'll go, Right, it's the same fucking shit. What do you want me to talk about?
Well, it could quite possibly be, but we're definitely going to be back. Look, just wanted to obviously.
I was going to say there's a couple of deadlines. You've got Benitez's contract's up at the end of this month, so you could schedule it in for the 1st of next month, and I'll be probably raging at that point. Or transfer deadline day is always a fun one for a Newcastle fan. We always just do it then.
Let's do a live stream on deadline day.
Yeah, deadline day. Yes and no. The reason I say no is because the last couple of years it's ended up being a bit of a damp squib where there's not really a lot of transfers happening. The big boys like City and what have you, they've got their shit in order now. They go in early, get what they want, close up shop, and then they're kind of done. But I don't mind doing a live stream at all. I just think there's not going to be much transfer talk to kind of talk about.
Yeah, I just think if we'd have done this about 4 or 5 years ago, you'd have seen me like proper angry about Newcastle. But now a lot of it's a lot of apathy at the moment, which is why I was listening to your previous podcast with Adam at 352.
I knew you were going to say
where
that.
Arsenal are now. So he's got that to look forward to. That his club's going to turn into Newcastle in about 3 or 4 years. So yeah, happy days.
Well, I hope they don't get taken over by a fucking shake, mate.
James is worried now, quaking in his boots a little bit.
I don't need them having money, mate. Fuck that.
Yeah, listen, we just want to say thanks for the effort you put into articles throughout the season and interacting with the community and what have you. Looking forward to a lot more next season. Could be really interesting or it could be really painful. But either way,
it'll be interesting either way.
There'll be rants and bants on Twitter, won't there?
Yeah, it's never dull with Newcastle.
For sure. So if you do want to follow sites at FPL_fitballer on Twitter, anywhere else they can find you, or Twitter's the best place?
That'll do.
Maybe don't want to be found anywhere else if this transfer takeover doesn't happen.
We'll go and look for his individual account now.
Brilliant. Thanks again. Anything else, James?
No, your line.
Fuck
it.
I nearly did your line.
We have to record the whole thing again now.
No, we don't. Ciao for now.
Can I do
it? Music, man, child.
Forgive me, because it's our 3rd podcast of the day.
What are you going to do when we record they don't know this, but on the 15th,
we're doing 5
we're recording 5 in about 3.5 hours.
I'm going to drink plenty of water. I'm going to drink beer. We're going to get pissed on that one.
Yeah, we do that. Leave the car at home, we'll get fucked, yeah.
Yeah, we'll try. But thanks again. Ciao for now.
Cheers, Si. Cue music, man, child. We've stitched this up, haven't we?
Yeah.
The Fantasy Football Show.